what is something that makes you really proud about your career?
The fact that I could, after all these years, say you could confuse me with Steve Cooper in a lineup.
This is Coop's Comedy Corner. Buckle up because it's funny as Coop's Comedy Corner.
Welcome to Coop's Comedy Corner. I'm back this week. I want to thank Jimmy Corham and Mike down there at Comedy Trainwreck for producing the show. And we have a guest on. You know, it's funny. Me and my friend Rich Scheidner, who Rich will be on in a few weeks, had lunch a few weeks ago. And these guys are like the people we loved in comedy that I looked up to. You know, Rich and my guest today, Rick Overton, and Rick was been on my show, Cooper Talk, a few times. And how you doing, Rick? What's up, man?
Hey, just living life large, wondering what's going on strike next. Getting my cardboard signs ready. Yeah. Where do I march now? Right, it's the only exercise I get. You never see writers get in better shape than walking in a circle.
I was going to ask you, what is it like for you? Because you do both, you write and you act. I mean, how have you reacted to the acting strike? Because it seems like Hollywood has pretty much, there's not a lot of shit going on right now.
It's a little slower for sure, you know, and so some of us are kind of in that zone where we'll wait to see where there's an offer, but we're not chasing it like we used to because there's no way, you know, they're going to replace us with AI or some crap like that, right? You know, one day you'll see AI Rick. Hi, how are you? I have all the different emotions that you do.
But AI Rick won't be able to do the improv that you can do. So that will be one.
Oh, he'll just steal it. He'll steal it from everybody else's improv.
Now, I want to talk to you about your career in comedy, but I want to talk about Set List. Because I know you taped, I think Clay Heary actually, produced Set List. I know me and Schreider talked about it at Kayak's Woodshed. I think you may have done something. But what is Set List and what makes you so good at it?
Clay took the leap with me. He believed in me to get a special out, like a 1 hour special that's improvised. Because look, I'm some old guy. What's this old guy got to offer? What's he doing up there on the stage? What's he doing that's any different from all the other specials? Well, for one thing, they're throwing every subject at me right behind me on the screen. And I just have to go cold in front of the audience with whatever they gave me. And that's the whole challenge of Set List. It's a screen that plays a set list. It's just not your set list. You don't know what any of those topics are till you're on stage. And it's an exercise to get to that place in your brain that's like a million times faster than anything you could sit down and think about. It just goes. It's feral. It's an animal. And it moves at the speed of light. And if you can start to grab it by the neck and ride it before it throws you again, just for a few steps, it's the mechanism that makes everything new. And we all have it. We're all born with it, and it goes at the speed of light, and it's faster than all our thoughts. And I just love the exercise of Set List to get you to try it, to see if you can do it. And in that exercise, you start to build that muscle, the muscle that makes all the other stuff. And you can use it for everything. What we're doing right now is an improv. And we're doing great.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, do you with Set List, because, you know, when we perform, you may not anymore, I do, we still get a little nervous and a little bit anxious. Do you get anxious because you're going up there
Set
and you don't know
what's
going on? You see, like, you just see this shit going up. I mean, do you ever sit there and go, I got to connect, and if I don't, I'm going to be lost up there?
Set List is that times 1,000. You want that feeling? You want that, you know, because there's the line, and the line is how normal feelings go. And it's not, above or below, but right at the line. And this goes to the line and then up here like that. And then until you do it so much that it brings the line back down again. And you start to see, oh my God, I can make this the line. I can be cool during this. Well, but another part of you goes, yeah, but I miss that old oh shit, what's next? And so set list keeps upping and upping and upping the stakes over and over.
Now, what do you think? Is the crowd, are they always with you, or are they sometimes sitting there going, you know what, we want to see this guy bomb a little bit? Because I would think, if you're rattling it off, how everyone's a skeptic now. They'd be like, oh, Rick knew the comic,
Some people say that
punchlines before.
yeah.
But so did they ever root for you not to take off? Because I would think some people, because there's pricks in comedy audiences, this are probably like, oh yeah, let's see Mr. Big Shot, let's hit with all of it.
I won't attribute it as anything overt, like someone's like, oh, I can't wait to see you fail. It's like that. But they're waiting to see what'll happen. Let's just see. Let's hold their interest. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a part of me wondering how much shit I can get myself into before I get out of it. A lot of my times I will set it up before I've looked. I will start saying something that is so absolute and completely committed to that one statement, that one thought, and then I turn around and it has nothing to do with it at all. And somehow I have to connect that absurdity to what I was just saying. And that's the hole I dig for myself and the hole I got to claw out of. And people kind of like watching you get yourself. I would say there's more enjoyment watching me get out of the shit than getting into it. And there probably you'll find a Friday second show crowd that can't wait to see the comedian eat it. But I try not to have those during the special,
Right.
Yeah, let's not make it any harder than it is here. Let's try to have regular people.
Now, what got you into stand-up? I know your father was a musician, and I believe your father was a musician. And so what made, and I think you played the harmonica, right? So what got you into comedy? Because you started when there wasn't a big comedy scene in New York.
It was a pre-boom, but just pre-boom. 1974, rolling into it with a comedy team, Overton and Sullivan, me and Roger. And we went 5 years. And it stays an art form with your partner as long as you're not getting paid. You were brilliant. No, you were more brilliant. Driving home from the show, coming up with notes and everything. But the moment they start paying you, they pay you for one increment of time. They don't pay you because there's two of you on stage. You got to cut that check in half while the guy ahead of you just takes the check home. Oh, every manner of fight explodes out of that on the drive home after. My punchline's more important than your setup, And it destroyed the team. But I also... Roger was as brilliant a sketch writer and creator as you could possibly meet, but he was very adherent to the script. Stick with the book and do not vary from that book. And my love of Jonathan Winters, that's what I wanted to do after a certain point, was take it to the next thing. And the great thing about improv is it's the first time you're hearing it too. I kind of wanted that more than anything else. So, going into the comedy boom, as I was saying, I started to individuate myself to the point where we couldn't work as a team anymore. And I broke off and I was my own act. I was terrified during the comedy boom, but people were so cool and so nice. The improv was so nice to me. And, Bud was great. Silver was great. And Garvin's was great. Remember Garvin's?
I did
DC, Steve.
I did Garvin's in Alexandria, and I featured, and I still remember this. I featured, and the headliner was a guy named Roger Mersick, and the MC. I don't know if he ever did anything in comedy. He was a 16-year-old kid named Dave Chappelle, and he blew me off the stage the first show. So Friday, it's on the feature. It's an easy spot. So Saturday, I'm like, after the show Friday, I went back to my hotel. And Saturday, I'm getting on stage, and I got it in my head, I'm going to eat shit again. I'm going to eat shit again. And I have a great set. But Dave is killing as a host. So I get that cockiness back. You know how we get that cockiness after a good set?
Sure.
And and I eat it so bad. I just took my check and I was living in North Jersey. I didn't even take the hotel room. I just went, got my shit out of the hotel room.
Yeah. You don't want to stay.
That's,
You don't want to
yeah.
stay in a bomb town, man. Bomb town's radioactive after that. Ooh, let's get out of here.
So you were doing Garbins. You were doing all the clubs. I want to talk about, your improv. Someone was mentioning how you and Robin Williams used to improv on stage in LA. So when did you meet Robin? Because I know you guys were very close when you moved to the West Coast. Was he coming to New York, or when did you guys meet?
The 70s. Elaine Boozler introduced us at Catch in the 70s when he first broke out and was just out of his own series. Remember his own show he had? No, sorry. He was on his first show, which was the first time I saw him was Richard Pryor's show. He was one of the sketch writers and players on the Pryor show. And then right around the new Laugh-In is when he started exploding and doing the Shakespeare stuff all over and people were saying, you got to check this cat out. He's going all over the stage and he does improv Shakespeare. And I said, improv Shakespeare? I got to see this. And I was just totally taken in. We bonded over Jonathan Winters after the show. He loved Jonathan Winters. I love Jonathan Winters. And our friendship just formed and remained from that point on. And I think because I was referencing Winters, he felt safer improvising with me than some other people that might just say, hey, I want to do some crazy shit with you on stage. He's like, you got to have another understanding.
No. What was your guys' fascination with Winters? And I remember Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters is one of those people that is, when it comes to people talking comedy, I really think he doesn't get the nod he deserves because he was,
not even
so
close.
Big.
Not even close to the credit he deserves. The monument that should be standing somewhere to remind all people who like to improvise at all how much ground he broke, like even on the Jack Parr show, stick, do something with this stick. And they goes, guys, look at a YouTube, Jonathan Winters, the stick. And just imagine the time frame. And there's a producer going, are you sure you're going to just, I need the jokes in front of me. I need to clear these jokes before the show. Not with Jonathan, you don't, pal. You just roll the camera and let him go. But that's not my job. I have to control this. I have to monitor this. You wouldn't understand it. You just sit back and take it in. And to have that kind of leeway back then or now, it might even be more now, more control on it now. But for its day, it paved the way to play around with the host and horse around with the guests. He's the one that made that happen. Made it its own form.
Right. So you and Robin bonded about him. But what was it like improvising with him on stage? Because he was so big, and you sit there and I always say comedians we're a mixture. We're part narcissistic and we're part insecure. We want the attention, but when we get it, we're like, oh wait, we don't deserve. We're not good enough. What was it like improvising with him? Because he was such a legend. I mean, was it like sitting there and being, playing with an all-star shortstop if you were a second baseman? I mean, what was it like? What made you guys click so good when you just started running? Because I've heard legendary stories about the two of you.
Starts like, do you ever get behind a truck with your little car and you just get caught in the suction and you can take your foot off the gas and they drag you to the next city? Just because you're in the vacuum bubble behind them, they're going so fast. It starts like that. And then you slowly start to initiate moves and then play neck and neck. And then you even might jump ahead just a little bit. And when the truck comes and catches up with you, that's a sign of trust. And as the time goes on, eventually you can lead and he can lead and back and forth. And it becomes more like peers. It becomes more like Blue Angels. But it's Blue Angels with no flight plan in advance. And you're still not supposed to crash into each other. So that was my adventure with him, was at first just trying to keep up. And there's no point when you're not just trying to keep up. It's just how well you keep up. It'll always just be the amount of work you put into keeping up. And if you did enough and you did it right, that was it. You got it. That's the show.
So,
and that's it. That'll be the extent of it. That's the black belt of it.
see, that's what's amazing, and you look at your career, and it's funny. I see you on commercials, we see you on TV. I mean, there's so many times you put you on TV. I'll see like Willow, all these old movies. When did you start to? You're doing stand up, and you're loving it. You're probably on the road, as you said. It's the boom. You're probably going to Garvin's. You're going, probably down to Florida. I don't know if you're doing the old creative comedy zones. There's so many clubs back then. So you're doing them. You're probably doing Philly. You're probably a Comedy Works guy, I'm guessing. No, you're a Comedy Factory Outlet.
Comedy Works and
Comedy Factory Outlet, Clay.
Yeah. And there was another place. And why am
Funny
I
Bone.
blanking on the name? There was
Bone,
another great
Going Bananas. Going Bananas in the Funny Bone. That was the Philly.
There's another one on early. This is before that.
The Jailhouse? No, I don't know.
I'll think of it after the interview too.
Well, you're working the clubs, and so when do you decide you want to start acting?
From the beginning. It's like all at once, but the opportunity for one preceded the opportunities for the other, and just patiently, stay with one, and it. Hopefully, if you just keep reading about it and studying the actors you love and seeing why they do what they do, when it's your turn, you won't just completely trip over your shoelaces, because everyone's going to be a little clumsy on their first few gigs. And, but let me tell you something, improv gets you into that room. It gets them to love you before you start reading. Because it also instills a sense of your own comfort in your skin. And with that, you can do so many things. It leads to almost everything else.
Now, back to New York. When you were in New York, who were your contemporaries? Who was your group? Like, I know, like you're probably with Scheidner, and I mean, I don't know if who else I know. I think Bill Maher may have been around at the time. What was your group? Because all comics run in a pack.
I'm a little earlier than some of that. I came in for the Belzer, Boozler, Andy Kaufman. I'm the first guy that Andy dumps a pitcher of water on the head of when he's playing. What the hell's his? Yeah, this guy play. Tony Clifton. He's Tony Clifton. I'm Tony Clifton's first plant in the audience. Oh, you don't think I'm funny? Get up on stage. I'll show you what funny is. I go up on stage. Splash. This is the New York Improv. You know how the layout is for the New York Improv? You been there?
Yeah.
You know the little side door that goes out onto 44th Street? Yeah. So splash. You fucking asshole. I'm going to complain to the manager. Bang. I'm out the side door. I come around the back and I watch to see what happens next. Boo. You're an asshole. And he pulls out the conga. Bugger the bugger. I was only trying to make you laugh. Remember that? And he does the crying song with the bongo, and they come back, and I realized, oh my God, this guy has like Rasputin powers. He's like controlling the audience completely, hypnotizing the audience to love him, to hate him. But to this day, I've never seen anything like it. He was doing it for fun. He was completely fucking with everyone's emotions for fun, and he had the absolute set of controls on it, like nothing I'd ever seen. And he had this mastery way of showing us ourselves. How do you act when someone does this? That's what he was the real Jedi of, And so there was Andy Kaufman. That was an era, and Belzer and Boozler, and some people you might not have. Bruce Mahler, before he did the police academies, he was a piano virtuoso that would do all this comedy during the show. Jack Grayman.
What was?
Do you remember Jack Grayman?
Vibe like I don't remember Jack Grayman. I remember.
He looked like Kurt Vonnegut.
What was the vibe like though? Okay.
The vibe.
What was the vibe like in the club? Did you guys know you were coming on to something big, like it was going to blow up? Because once again, it stand-up really started. I mean, stand-up was big, but it started going into the boom eventually. Did you guys know it was a special time, that you guys were just really having fun? And it's not like now that there's 80,000 comedians. It was only a few of you that ventured out and actually had the balls to do it.
I don't think anyone in any era can fully absorb from where they're standing the impact of where it's going to be. But if you love it enough in its place where the needle's hitting the record, if you love that enough, that's the enthusiasm that made it the great thing later. It doesn't happen without that level of participation in the moment. So there's not always a time when you can look at it at this time and go, wow, I know it. Because every moment, this could be the next special moment right here. We don't even know. You don't know till you look back on this interview we had. It led to, you just don't know. And you can't watch a movie of yourself driving on Mulholland with VR goggles while you're driving on Mulholland. You'll go off the road and into someone's swimming pool because you're just supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be watching yourself being there. That level of one generation detachment takes the moment away. And that's why improv, you can't do that during improv.
Exactly.
It'll kill the improv.
So what was Belzer like? Tell me about Belzer, because everyone said Belzer, like he was the quintessential MC. Everyone says Belzer was the first guy with the crowd. He was the quintessential. Tell me what made him so good. I know he had the impressions, and I've been watching Homicide: Life on the Streets, which he's on, and they're playing. It's from years ago. It's finally out, and he's perfect as Detective Munch, which he went on with his conspiracies and all that, and it fits him so good. But what was it like seeing him MC? And he's another one. What made him so good? Because you were around it when it was happening.
Titanium balls, indestructible, unobtainium balls. Nothing can hurt them. Nothing can penetrate them. They just hang down during every show. And it's a comfort that allows him to play with. He's a lot of the time he was making fun of MCs. Okay, all that shit. He was being Mr. Vegas on purpose, and he was a very hip, like a cross between Mick Jagger and a host from a Vegas show on purpose. He was hipping it up, but he was also really bagging the shit out of it. He was making fun of it. And Steve Martin did some of that too. Okay, but not the way Belzer did, because Belzer would put all this political shit in on top of it and assassinating JFK, which he was a complete expert on. And he brought a level of hip that was very influential to lots of comics. He was the granddaddy of so many other comic performances. Yeah, he was a one of a kind that made many of a kind. That's when you can really spot a one of a kind, is when they make many, like a father to a thing.
Well, they always say that. They always say he was, the shtick and just being the quick host. And back then, I heard in that day, the MC got paid more than the other acts because the MC in New York had to make the show gel.
Yeah. And you have to do a little set, like a mini set between some of the people. And you have to be there all fucking night. Oh, goddamn night. Was that, how do I get paid less for that?
Right. So what makes you move to LA? Because you're in LA now, but you're in New York, and at the time comedy was thriving. And so when you moved to LA, what year did you move to LA?
80.
And
Chris Albrecht wanted a bunch of us to come out, and Albrecht brought out a bunch of the comedians from New York, and some of them went back home, but Gilbert came out. A lot of people came out. I came out in that batch of people with Gilbert and Brant von Hoffman, Steve Middleman, a bunch of people, Rita Rudner.
So you got out there, and are you getting spots right away at the Improv or the Comedy Store? How are you breaking into the circuit?
Not so much LA? The store. Not so much the store, more the Improv, because I came from the New York Improv. So there was still that comedy Berlin Wall, and which are you? Where's your loyalty? And my loyalty kind of came built in from where I was in New York. So I just sort of rolled with that. I don't have any animosity towards anyone at the store. I've done benefit shows there, lots and lots of them. I've done improv there. I just don't sign up for spots very much over there. That's all. And it was nothing personal. It never was. They have a fine club, and I always love doing it.
Now, what year did you do the Young Comedian special? I know you did. Was it the 6th Young Comedian special for Rodney?
91. Yeah, I think so. It was 91.
So who all was on that show? Because it's funny. I remember those shows. You would watch them, and like it was just amazing because it was like when people watched the comedy, and it was always a great lineup. And most of the people did good. Every once in a while, some people wouldn't do well. But do you remember who was on with you when you did Rodney's show? And how did you feel your set went? Because
I didn't do Rodney's show. I didn't do Rodney's.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I did Smothers Brothers.
Okay, now who was on that show?
Howie Mandel, and Charlie. Who's the guy? Who's street performer? Charlie.
Yeah, he was on Miami Vice. Charles Burnett
was on that one. And just stop asking me questions about memory shit, okay?
I will, because
come on, man. Let's see. Who? Harry the Magician. Harry Anderson was on there, and all right, I'm going to go back and have a look at it. It's only been half a century.
It's good. No, it's funny because it was the lineups were so good. So did you acclimate to LA well? I mean, when you first moved out, because you're doing comedy in New York, and it was set. So you can get on stage all the time in New York, probably. What was it like for LA? How did you acclimate to the lifestyle? Because when I moved from the East Coast to LA, I was fascinated. LA closed at like 2 a.m. And I was like, wait, it's LA. Like, New York's open up all night. How did you acclimate to being in New York? I mean, to LA.
I'd made a few trips out before that. And so I crashed with Greg Travis on his sofa for a little bit, then found my own pad after that. And I had a buddy, and Greg and some other friends were already out there. So having friends that also came out from your previous place, all settling in, you can sort of commiserate about that. But you get caught up. It's not that different. You're focused on what you got to do, and you get in your car as opposed to a subway, and you just figure this shit out. That's not acclimating to one city or another. Unless it's altitude, it's not that big a change because you're busy doing everything else already, especially when you're just making your career. There's too much to go just explore and set up to even think about the word acclimation. By the time you looked at it, you're already acclimated.
Okay. Here's something, because you're an improv guy. The industry now, auditions, a lot of them are self-taped. Now, I talked to a lot of actors who love the room, because as you said earlier, when you would go in the room, you could screw around. What is your take on self-tape compared to in the room? Because I think people have been doing it for a long time. I always love getting in the room because you could book something for just a certain look. I mean, what's your experience with it all right now?
It is the height of awkward misery. Self-taping. It's fucking miserable. It's a terrible idea. It makes it impossible to connect. It doesn't really have any warmth. It looks two-dimensional, no matter how much of a third dimension you try to imbue it with. It's timing's all off. Everything's screwed up about it. I don't like self-taping at all. I know there are now companies that will have young actors that will read with you on a Zoom to get that out. It's really awful. It's really awful. And if you can pull it off and if you can do it, God bless you. But it's certainly not like when you're walking in that room, man, and there's just an energy. And they can't feel that energy on a video screen. They just can't. You can't make that warmth happen the same way. So, I guess it'll become its own weird, separate, evolved science of how to make this work. And they will look like whatever animal adapted to that in evolution's terms, whatever stripes and colors they use to get through that. Because fuck, it's a slog.
And and I think what also sucks about it is when you would go for an audition, you would get in a room and you'd be in the waiting room and you see people, and then you sit there and you go, there's only 15. Oh, they're auditioning for 2 days. Well, there's only going to be 35 people. Now they can audition like 200 people because they're just looking at a picture and they're going, fuck this, fuck that.
It's a factory. It's like a production line. And they'll just see half your video, go, yeah, no. So it's like Tinder. It's acting Tinder. Swipe left, swipe right. Maybe I can use that. Yeah.
There you go. That's next. That's improv.
Yeah, set list.
If you ever get up for So let's talk about your acting. You've had a wonderful career. What are some roles? First of all, you played the Drake on Seinfeld, and that was such a huge show. Were you tight with Jerry? Or, how does it, because a lot of these New Yorkers, they knew Larry or they knew Jerry, or how did,
I knew Larry were very respected. I suggested that the Drake cry during the episode because the Seinfeld gang is not very emotionally in touch with anything, and they don't like awkward emotions. So I thought I would give them the most horrible, awkward, emotional thing, disintegrating with Liz Dennehy, the wonderful Elizabeth Dennehy, as my fiance that I just broke up with. And she just... And that team, I just thought was wonderful to make their skin crawl and, talk about where to eat and stuff while crying and all that. So I put a lot of that in there, and Larry let me do that. And that's because even at that point, I'd had enough background and cred to make a suggestion to the producer about an angle on a thing, and I knew him from stand-up. So there was a couple of ways to do that, but also just my acting and my improv. My improv that I put into my acting built a reputation even back then that they can let you kind of Fred Willard your way through this just a little bit. And if you're an improver and an actor, you want that Fred Willard thing. You want the carte blanche that he got to let the camera roll, and you'll make it good somehow. You want that. You want that. Trust me. So, so it was fun to do the scene. It was great, and we let it. We let it play out a couple of takes and a couple of times, and they're all. So it was a great experience for me. And then they even put me on the next one after that because of that. So I'm in the last episode of 93 season. Real quickly, Liz and I, we lost the big screen TV, took it away, and now I got a little shitty Watchman with the antenna. Remember the Watchman? Looks like a brick, and it's a little TV screen. And she moves the antenna, kills the picture, and I'm going, you ruined everything. You ruined everything.
You mentioned improv a lot. Now, I want to ask you, do you think improv, can you learn improv, or is it instinctual? Because I sometimes think, what is it both? Tell me your view on that, because you have to have instinct. So to explain this.
You have instincts, and you can work on things that train them. That's the part you learn. You're born with the instincts. And then rather than let them run like a wild animal everywhere, you take what is feral about it and you teach it English. And you teach it to move within the parameters of an acting scene, even though it remains semi-feral the entire time. You want to keep the feral, because feral makes the new situation. It doesn't use a reference book. The reference book should only be for the actor within that feral creature to find a way to survive in an actor's environment using it.
Okay. So now on stage, if you talk to a crowd, is that something you aim to do just for the reason that improv, if you're not doing set lists? Because when some people go on stage and they want to talk to the crowd because you can get some great bits out of it, which is why people should tape themselves, because sometimes you go off the cuff. If you don't tape yourself, you get off the stage and you go, oh man, I said that bit, and then you forget how it went. So for you, what is your objective when of course it's to get laughs, but when you go on stage, not on set list, but if you do a regular set, do you have half carved out that you're going to do and then you're going to let it fly? Or do you just sit there and go, I have this whole set, and if I go off, it's okay. I know I can do that.
More the latter. More option B.
Okay. So
I have
coming
the
to that,
thing
then,
and I'll play with it. And other shows, I'll play more. If it's a smaller crowd, I'll play more. It's risky, but
now,
it's a smaller crowd, you know.
has your writing process changed over the years? Because I think everyone changes as we get older, and we write more stories. But how would you explain your early act when it was a young Rick Overton getting out on his solo, and how's your act evolved to what it is now? Has there been a lot of parallel, or what have you gone through in your age through the years?
Well, they say write what you know, and you know more when you get older. So you write about that. You don't start complaining about what hurts. You know, that comes with time. That's your other bit. That happens when it starts to hurt. So I would say they say you need 10 years. You have 10 years to find your voice in comedy. You ever heard that expression? Takes you 10 years
Oh,
to
yeah,
sort out your
yeah.
voice in comedy on stage. Those 10 years, I think what they mean by your voice is your opinions. What are your opinions? That's what your voice really is what you think, what you believe. And if you can get a handle on that, you have the you have the foundation from which you can get up there and just sort of freely talk and find the jokes and let the jokes find you while you're going. And when you get good at it, they'll come more often. But you can go a little bit cold into a topic and know there'll be something coming along very soon that'll be funny. Staying true to it, though, is staying with what formed that opinion that you have, that an informed joke about something is always better than there's some random shit about some kid talking about his wife and clearly he's not married yet, you know?
Right.
I don't really attach anything to this kid saying that yet. He read the joke somewhere. So when it looks like you've been through the thing, it sort of changes the gravitas of the joke, where it lands.
Oh yeah,
And
I
when it
agree with you
lands in a
completely.
real place, I think there's a bigger laugh. The recognition is more, right?
So you've had a very great career. Give me some highlights of your career, because you've been in great movies. You know, you have this. Yeah, everyone knows you. You're very respected in the industry. Give me some highlights of the Rick Overton career, because a lot of times it's comedians like you who have done so much that you don't like to, as my mom would say, like to toot your own horn. But I'm giving you a chance, Rick Overton. Toot your own horn. Tell me what you feel are some of the highlights of your career that has been lasted for God since as you said you met back in the day when you met Andy Kaufman. I mean, you were working back out then.
Well, everything from being Thurman Flicker in Young Doctors in Love, my first movie, Gary Marshall's first movie. He gave me my break. Thank you, Papa Gary. And then Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie sort of put a word in for me so that we could do that. And that's an partly improvised scene too, with the guy. He breaks into the customs warehouse and I'm going through all the paperwork and he's scaring the shit out of us. He's going to bring the IRS down on us and all that. And I gave him some lines to say and he used them. And so, because I knew him when he was in the Identical Triplets. And then a movie called Odd Jobs with Provenza and Townsend, and we all had a lot of fun shooting in just in LA, and I got to improvise my ass off on that one. And so lots of films will come up. Willow, we got to play a lot. We got to improvise.
What was Willow like? I mean, what was it like shooting Willow? Because it's such a different movie. What was it like? Because it was a blow.
Blue.
It did well.
A lot of blue, man. A lot of fucking blue. It was all blue. Why? Because it was before green. That's why. It was late 80s. They didn't have the green yet. So be scared of the tennis ball. A little extra tape on it and the guy holding a stick and don't walk through the set because it's not really there. You have to walk on these X's of tape. And so the fact that both Kevin and I were barefoot was the only way you know when you're standing on the tape. And so It was lots of fun. It was 5 weeks of nothing else. We weren't on location with anybody. We were in San Rafael the entire time. 5 straight weeks of almost 7 days a week of getting these effects done in time. Everything else was shot already. We would watch a monitor with the replay of the scene, and they would take a little pointer and show, this is where you'll be walking up to Val Kilmer right here. And you stop there so you don't go through the tree root, and you'll shake your fist at him here. And sometimes there'd be a large set with grass around us and stuff like that we could stand on. But a lot of times it's just the blue. And you don't really know what it's going to look like yet. And you just go off of this. Let's just be funny. Let's just have fun and be funny.
It is crazy how things have changed like that. It's just now. I mean, you think of it, and you're saying back then, the tennis ball, like people don't know that shit. Like younger people don't know. That's how they did special effects. It's not like now where you can do it digital and you can do all this stuff, and all of a sudden, right now, if we wanted to do this, they could probably put a tiger jumping out from me, and you going, oh, and having people chasing the tiger. I mean, it's so.
They have it
how,
now with a screen that plays. It's a jumbotron behind all the actors now. So everyone's really they pre-shot it, and everyone's looking at it by the time they're up there. By the time you're on set, you're looking at giant moving jumbos with the real scenery. That's how they do the Mandalorian and all that other stuff now. It's really there, but we had to use imagination. You whippersnappers, we had to make it up.
Now tell me some more of these stories, because you have 192 IMDb credits. That's insane. But you will some other. I mean, you've been in Dinner with the Schmucks, like all these different movies. Tell me, like, what sticks
Dinner
out
for
in your mind?
Schmucks. I
You've
got the
worked with so
job
many
because
great-
the stunt man was being a jerk about it the whole time, and he didn't want to play it because they were going to set him on fire at the end. The big fire at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
The beard was going to be on fire. And he runs out, and I said, I'll do the gag. But they didn't. The beard was so much fun. They didn't want to destroy the beard, one, and they didn't want to accidentally burn the actor, two. But they also let me improvise. So a lot of those lines I say in the movie about, the vulture, are they cute when they're little, or are they this horrible the whole time? Whole set broke up. Kick them in the business center. They were letting me play on set, and they just rolled. I was just the stupid guy with the big beard. So you can have a thing that looks like it's nothing, and you can put little things in that make it something. Sometimes you go too big, and they go, no, that's too much. We can't go that far. And you learn the right size thing that it just keeps. They roll it, and they just leave it in. And I'm telling you, it's worth learning it. It's worth doing. And the only way you do it is just keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
Now, what was it like you to transition into some more serious roles? Because you're a comic, and I know comics can be serious actors. But do you remember your first serious role in a TV or movie, and were you sort of shitting yourself because you were like, "I'm the improv guy, I'm me"? I mean, do you remember that first serious role you had?
One of the first ones that was really serious was North Fork. The Polish brothers did that great film, and it's about land acquisition, the brutal tactics of land acquisition in the 50s for when they wanted to put a dam in, and the people that lived in the valley, they were going to flood. They just give you like $500 and then kick you out of the world you built there. And I was the mean boss sending them off there. And it's just, they say you're supposed to find something about your character that you like. And I always wrestled with that one, because this guy I was playing, I didn't like him at all. He's just a cold son of a bitch who'd send men out to throw other people out of their house, and he doesn't care. And so what I had to drive home thinking about, or fly home, was I was thinking, I have to like how I played this prick, and just how you played him. You played that prick well. And that's the takeaway sometimes, is sometimes when it's a bad guy like that. Like when I did NCIS, I don't like this guy, but I like how I did him. For young actors, remember to take that with you, that there's other ways to look at it. You don't have to stick right with the book and I'm supposed to find a thing I like. I don't know. Just sometimes there isn't anything. So don't make one up. Just roll with it. Be good at doing it, and then like that.
Well, you had said in like Dinner of the Schmucks. You got the improv. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it like for you what is it like for you though when you come into a set that doesn't allow improv? Because there are some shows they don't know. So for someone of you who you probably in your mind, your shit's probably funnier than some of the stuff written. But what is that like when you have to get into that actor mode and you're like, man, I want to go this way, but they don't let us improv. How do you handle that as an actor?
Just do it well. Just do it well. It won't always be the most fun as the last one or the one before that. Just do this one well. Go home with the pride that you did this one well. You did what you could with it. Sometimes that's it. You can't force anymore, and if you do, it's a catastrophe.
Now, do you prefer, I mean, I know actors just love to work, but do you prefer drama to comedy? Or what is, if you had your choice, what would you, if someone said, Rick, here's a sitcom or here's a drama where you're the lead, but a quirky lead, not like what would you want to play?
I don't know. It'd have to do with the quality of each. It's not just that it is this thing or that thing. It has to be, if it's well written, who else is in it? And because your job is you got to find out how to be these different things, and you can't always demand that part. The demands you make are of yourself. Are you up to these parameters for this part or that? And hopefully the trick is you know how to do all of it. You're across the board. Good guy, bad guy, funny guy, serious guy, dad, grandpa, school dean, prosecutor, judge, killer, cop.
So you play them. So, okay, let's get to your writing. You won an Emmy for Dennis Miller. What was the writing room like that on that show? Because, I don't know if the staff, I don't know if that was when Cesare was there or Rooney was there. I don't know who was there when you were there, but what was it like writing with Dennis Miller? And I mean, what was it great to be in a room full of other great comics?
Oh, they're all brilliant. Get your ego out of the fucking way. Don't invite your enemy into that room. It won't help you. It is there for no good purpose. And you'll see yourself, your friends, your peers, or he's scrolling. He has a Mac and a mouse, and he'll go, yeah. Black, delete, gone. No. Funny, but nah, doesn't work here. No. And you have to detach from days of work like they never happened, and don't worry about it, and just start worrying about the thing that's next. And if it is agony to write at that speed, don't do the job. You're not wired for it. It shouldn't hurt that much. You're supposed to build to a point where you can just roll with it and okay, do it. And it's one good way to find out, because they're some of the best writers around, sharpest, edgiest guys. And, when they're doing quotes for photos and things like that, you see everyone's hilarious. He used a lot of my rant stuff. I got into the connective tissue stuff. And other guys were just the one-liners, the jokes in the beginning. And I loved it. I thought, I'd like to be better at that. And then, slowly start to build so I could get a few zingers in that way. And, you learn from your peers. And they were great. So I had a wonderful opportunity. He's why I have an Emmy. Thank you, Dennis Miller. And I'm very grateful for the experience that I got to work with a team of people who were just exceptional, fierce intellects. And I mean fierce. There's some ferocity there. And it was a good thing. It was, I imagine what early SNL might have looked like.
It was an amazing show. Now, during your career, have you worked with anyone that you were somewhat intimidated by, or you went, oh my God, I can't believe I'm working with this person?
Oh, all the time. God's sakes. Working with, having fun with Matt Damon in The Informant. I think that's one of his finest performances out of a long string of great performances. But man, when he played that guy, the humor and this adjusting his wig at the end and all that stuff, everything about him being so full of shit, I just think that was a masterpiece on his part. So trying to keep up with a masterpiece in a scene, you know what I mean? Oh, shit. He's doing a masterpiece here. This is master's class. It was great. And working with lots of people like that. Melissa Leo and I'm Dying Up Here. And then I have that big fight with her. I don't know if you saw the episode on Showtime where
I'm a big fan of that show.
For the shit you do with your daughter. And I'm saying, I'm shouting at the great Melissa Leo, and she's shouting back, and we're high-fiving at the end of the scene. Oh, woo, baby. That's a good thing.
That's a good show. It's funny. I actually have a water bottle. A friend of mine did marketing for that. So I have I'm Dying Up Here water bottle. And I have a shirt from the comedy club, whatever it was called, I'm blanking, but the comedy club, it's like a Ringer t-shirt from like the 70s. I have that t-shirt from the club in I'm Dying Up Here, which I was always bummed when it got canceled.
The set had that wood and carpet feel from the 70s, you know, with oh man, they did a great job. The research was really great on that. And I see why it's a tough show to keep making. It's so hard to do, period. Why? Your extras don't have their own clothing for anything when you have a scene with others. It's prohibitive time-wise and otherwise to dress everybody in that shit everywhere. As opposed to just make it today and they bring their own stuff.
So what have you been up to lately, Rick? You know, you're always performing, you're always working. You know, a few times I wanted to get you, you were booked. What's going on with your career right now? Because, you know, you do a lot of, you do comedy, you can do that, but what are you doing right now? Like, and what, do you have any goals? I mean, you've done so much, but do you have any goals that you sit there and go, I want to get this done in the next few years?
Yeah. My goal will be doing more of what I do. I love it. And, you know, I'm not fighting for it as hard. I'm not auditioning every day for it. It's, you know, semi-retirement means you're waiting for offers. And it's okay if they do, and it's okay if they don't. But it would be nice if they did. And so we're kind of right at that place right now, and I'm writing a few things that hopefully will get a little momentum, but I don't want to jinx anything, just, you know.
So looking back at your career, what are you most proud of? I always like to ask people that question because it's a lot of times people can't look back. I mean, you know, you've influenced a lot of comics, you know, you've worked with great people, you've been in movies, TV, you know, everything. But what do you sit there and say, I'm most proud of? Like, what when you sit there and go, man, this has been a crazy life, because you know the ups and downs, but you go, man, it's all fucking worth it. What is something that makes you really proud about your career?
The fact that I could, after all these years, say you could confuse me with Steve Cooper in a lineup.
Yeah, right. This is because I grew the beard for you, Rick.
Bald, beard, glasses, boom. It's a club.
Exactly.
Well,
seriously,
if I want to say seriously, if I'm going to be what I'm proudest of, you know, it's a cumulative thing. I'm proudest of the fact that I could get away with this much improv for this long. I can't believe it. I can't believe that in more than half of my IMDb, I got to play. That's the goal for me. That's the joy for me. Letting me roll, letting me go. And having the opportunity to just make a living on the right side of my brain. That's kind of the objective. Saying if I only got this movie, I only got this series. I don't think those are the things I measure as the personal achievements I do. The personal achievements are what you got yourself to do, not what was given to you. What you made, what you were able to make, what are you able to make of yourself. I think to me, that's the biggest deal. And I don't have a separate event to attach to it. It is the cumulative effect. Now, if I got to improvise for this long and make a living and get paid, because what are you doing when you're writing? You're improvising. And you're just committing that to words on a page. But either that or you're stealing. Those are the only two options. You're either improvising or plagiarizing. and there's no third option. So I got to do the former as a living for years, and still can. And so I don't think I can't think of a happier seat and place. I don't think it would be because I have a mansion or a jet or any of that. It's what I did. It's what I get to do. And they're trusting me to do it. And they have faith in me that I can do it. And I had to build that. You have to work year after year after year to get them to see it.
Okay, before we go, Mr. Overton, give me one great Hollywood story that you were involved in. Because I heard one story about you driving your motorcycle. Jeff Martyr told me this. Jeff Martyr told me you drove your motorcycle straight through from LA and you pulled up to the Improv and you hadn't slept and you went on stage. And I don't know if you remember this. And he said, "What are you going on stage for?" He said, "That's why I'm here." But that blew my mind. He said, "You just drove cross country and boom, got off your bike. So let me on the fucking stage." Give me a good story to close our show with.
Well, that was it. I rode across the country and did a spot. I've done improv with Jonathan Winters in a 1986 special. I did. I got to play a killer in a horror film and do all the effects with exploding and all that shit. That was fun. You see, that to me, it's not all celebrity based for me. Oh, I was with this person or that. I don't, because they're just working. When you're on the set with them, they're just other people working on the job. It demystifies it a little. I'm a little demystified, So I guess the excitement of doing my own stunts for lots of movies, like those things mean a huge thing to me, that I could drive a car and screech it into place or take a fight or an explosion and blow up and land in the other thing and have the stunt guys all high five me afterwards. That's like a big deal to me, having directors listen to my suggestions and go with it. See, in your real life as an actor, you're not going to count these giant things like I was in this giant thing with all the lights in the front and all that. That won't be the moment that stays with you. What you did. And the excitement, the fanfare is all built into you. It's all your personal accomplishment. Those are the grand openings. Is what you saw you could do differently. I can do stunts. I can do fights. I can do choreography. I can do directing. I can do writing. I can do acting. I can do comedy. Those things stack up. That's the mountain. That's the thing you want to be on top of. More than one separate event. More than one story.
Well, that's good.
I'm sorry I don't have a separate story, but I have very good advice.
Oh, no, that's fine.
This advice is more important than one story. This is going to help them realize it's about what you do there. That's the point. You're the point.
A lot of people don't know that. And that's good that you give that advice because, mentoring is so important these days that people just think, you can just run by the seat of your pants, but it takes work. And as you said, you've worked your ass off and you've done so much and you're still working and you've had a great career. So it's dedication and love of the craft.
Yeah, it's not always going to be about stardom. And look how happens to stars. Look when they fall apart just like anything else. To me, that's not about that. It's not about the separate accomplishment. It's the cumulative accomplishments over the years, and you did it. And the fact that you're at the end of it looking back, that's your victory. You win. You're already there. There is no other point to make after that.
Well, exactly.
Just keep doing it.
I got to tell you.
Just keep getting it wrong, and don't be embarrassed when you do. You're never going to learn any other way. Be okay with getting it wrong.
That's improv. Way. Well, you know what? It's improv, and I'm glad we got to catch up. And I love having you on. And how can people? I know you're doing. Wendy Liebman was on, and she talked about her joke thing. You're doing a joke thing too, and it's great because it helps creativity.
I say in the tradition of Wendy, in the tradition of Wendy. Let's
Right,
do
right.
this.
So,
But
but
I
it's
believe
good.
in
You're doing
her.
it. So you're on. Okay.
Hello?
No, you said you believe in her. Okay, I thought you were going to say something else.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
can you
I
hear me?
believe in Wendy Liebman's thing. I think there's more to be done with that. I think that could be a show. I think that, and a
Okay.
book or something. She has come up with the next set list, and she's bringing the improv and the writer out of all of us. I think she's landed on some gold here. She's brilliant. She's
And it is.
one
And I
of
do it
the
all the
great
time.
joke writers. I describe her style as Wendy Liebman California stops through every joke. She never completely stops for the sign.
Right.
She's
It's
you know
great.
what I mean?
So how can people get in touch with you, Rick? You're on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Facebook and Twitter.
People, go look up Rick Overton. Go look at his IMDb. Go see some of his old performances. You'll go, holy shit, this guy's got an amazing career. And you can see drama and you can see comedy. So look him up, people. Go to YouTube and look up the Coop Tank. Rick is episode 8 or 9, I believe. Every week I'm bringing a great acts. And Jimmy Corhan put a great the comedy train wreck. It's a bunch of great comics out of Philly doing different stuff. You know, he's got Ed McGonigal on there, Coleman Green, Corey Alexander. So go check that out. Also, go to my other website, coopertalk.net. You can find 1,026 episodes up there. I just had Alan Zweibel on, who's a comedy legend. And and you can email me at coopertalk.net. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank you, Rick, and people. Keep supporting comedy, keep supporting live entertainment, and we will talk to you soon.
Coop's Comedy Corner.